Okay, so we're about to get started. It is six something,
6:41.
6:41. Um, Opening remarks. Hi, I'm Tanisha Grant. I am the Vice Chair of the Youth and Education Committee, and I have with me here.
Hello, my name is Noemi Diaz. I am a member of Youth and Education and also the Licensing Committee for CB12. And last but not least, I'm also a member of the CC6.
Yes, so I mean, Hector.
Wonderful. How's it going, everyone? Thank you all for being here. My name is Hector Bonilla. I'm also on the Cannabis Task Force and Licensing Committee. And I'll hand it over to our current super chair for the day, Tanisha.
With that, so yes, so usually we would approve the agenda, but we don't have quorum yet. So we'll just go on with the program, and if more members come in, then we will approve the agenda for the record. So our first thing is elected official updates. And I don't see any elected officials here besides our guests. So we'll move on, but I want to note for the record that our elected officials really need to come to here and talk to us about education, especially with what we have going on at the federal level. It's very important that we work with our elected officials, and we can't do that if we're not hearing from them. So hopefully we can reach out to our assemblyman and to our councilwoman and ask their offices to be here. I think we've done that, but I think we need to do that again.
Right.
I think I'm gonna send a personal note.
Okay.
Community connections. We also do not have anyone here from community connections. So committee business. Yes. So committee business, we have been talking about people that we want to come talk to us. And one of them people was the controller's office, the state and the city. And thank you, Hector, for setting up for the state controller, the office of Thomas P. DiNapoli, to come here and speak to us. So I will turn it over to y'all. Please introduce yourselves and go on with your presentation. Thank you.
I guess I'll start because I was pointing with Hector on setting this up. So Alfred Gutierrez, I'm the Assistant Controller for Intergovernmental Affairs for Downstate. Thank you for inviting us here to participate in this meaningful conversation. And I'll kick it over to my two colleagues, Rahul and Tina.
My name is Rahul Jain. I'm the State Deputy Controller for the City of New York, and our focus is really on the fiscal and operational oversight of the city. So, we're happy to be here.
I'm Tina Kim. I'm the Deputy Controller for State Government Accountability. We're responsible for auditing state agencies and city agencies, including the Department of Education, and we're happy to be here.
If you guys are talking, you're on mute.
Go ahead.
Wonderful. Can y'all hear me now? Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. Tina, thank you so much for being the last one to speak. I think you're perfect to launch our first question. We're going to get straight into the meat and potatoes of this. So please bear with us with some harsh questions, but we want all the direct responses as you could provide. So Tina, the first question that we really want to know, in these past couple of committee meetings, we've been trying to understand a lot of the accountability behind some of the budget. So we want to understand, how does the comptroller office evaluate the performance of vendors contracted by the Department of Education, and what criteria is used to assess their effectiveness over the year or the fiscal year?
So generally, when you're talking about reviews that controller's office do, there's actually two types of reviews. So there would actually be, a pre-review. So it's pre-audit, which basically would be done by a contract function. So
Sure.
because we're the state controller, we don't review city contracts, and that would fall to the city controller. But then there's post-review. So auditors such as myself, when we're looking at a contract, we look at a couple of different things. First, the evaluation process is actually governed by the rules of the city. So there is actually requirements that there's for contracts that there be performance metrics that should include quality and timeliness. And then there is a process basically, that should be incorporated in the contract and be used to basically evaluate performance, at least on an annual basis. And there is actually a process in terms of giving contractors feedback. And a lot of the how is actually in the PPP. And then when we're looking at a contract, what we're specifically looking at is how those rules of the city and how the PPP rules are actually being basically are within the contract. So we're looking for the specific criteria for evaluation within a contract, the specific metrics that the contract is actually being evaluated on. And so that's how we would basically figure out what the criteria is. So we'd look to basically the rules of the city, we'd look to the PPP, and then we'd look into the four corners of the contract to determine basically how we're going to evaluate a contract. So if you want an example of that, we did an audit in 2022 in terms of the city custodia contract, because sometimes what you will actually find, because one of the findings within that audit is even though performance metrics are something that you should have within your contract, often those performance metrics don't hit issues like quality.
Okay,
So that the particular audit that we're actually talking about, the metrics related to, are you doing the cleaning? But they don't tell you in terms of the quality of the cleaning. So an audit like that can be helpful to basically assess basically whether you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, whether basically, you're appropriately evaluating for quality. And then again, if you're getting value for your money. And so one of the recommendations in that report was that they really needed to basically evaluate quality, because a big issue in terms of evaluating quality for contracts is you actually have to collect data so that you can, that would help you evaluate that quality. So generally that's how an auditor would look at, and that would actually be the criteria.
okay, great. I'm in financial services, so the fact you mentioned you have to review the quality of the work is quite new to me, because in our space it's strictly the numbers and the financials. And speaking of which, looking at the financials when it comes to the budget itself, what role does a comptroller play when it comes to allocating a budget for public schools versus charter schools in New York State?
So we don't have a direct role, maybe outside of, we do have a say in revenue consensus. That means the amount of revenue the state assumes will be available for the next budgeted year. But we don't split out the charter amount versus the regular, traditional public schools. That's done via formula, that the legislature agrees to with the governor, and that's part of the, sort of regular process that happens as part of the state budget process. So our role there is very, very much hands off. We obviously oversee some of the budgetary spending, but we don't necessarily, direct it what the shares are and what the formula is.
Got it. That makes sense. And then, so in terms of your role, what role do you play in terms of discretionary budget for the state? Do you have any oversight into that, or is it more so like a laissez-faire, like hands-off approach where you just lead or you follow suit with the legislator?
So I can talk about that from an audit perspective.
Okay.
So if you look at Schedule C and you look at a lot of where the money goes into, we tend not to audit individual contracts. We tend to, and not source of funds, but we look at a lot of the areas and do audits that evaluate a lot of the programs that receive funding. So a good example of that is, if you look at the last Schedule C and you look at the groupings of where funding came into place, some of the funding went to college readiness, some of the funding went to mental health initiatives. So those are areas that, our office evaluated as well. So we look at how well, holistically the city is actually doing in those areas, what the city said that they were trying to accomplish, and whether or not they met their goals. So if you look at both of those audits, and then we provide recommendations to basically improve performance of those particular programs, and then we follow up a year later. So, if you look at our website, and I'll just put those 3 audits in, you can actually see not just the audits, but for the mental health audit, you could actually see the status of the recommendations a year out.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. From our side, we because we look at the budget and we're comparing sort of year over year what the trends are, enrollment levels. That allows us to see where the city may not be planning to fund certain things. Now, generally speaking, the city does come around over the course of the year and end up fully funding the stuff. But for example, we highlight sort of budgetary risks that are not currently funded in the city's financial plan, and so that kind of elevates, just the fact that they'll need to balance their budget.
Okay. Okay, and just following up on that note, what do you think, or what do you believe will be some of the headwinds, or are there any things you could anticipate in terms of changes coming down from the federal level that will affect the state and local municipalities? More so like on the macro, like on the political presidential side of things.
Yeah. I think we understand your question. I'll take a stab first. There was actually a pretty good article in City NYC, the website, the journalism website, that touches on the $2.2 billion the city gets from the feds this year. That number will go down next year because some of that includes sort of one-time COVID funding, but the city does assume about a $2 billion, each year. If there were to be funding cuts to the Department of Education, that obviously, the 2 big chunks of money are something called IDEA, which is funding for students with disabilities, and Title I, which is obviously for lower income schools. And so those are 2 areas that we would probably want to keep an eye on. Now, obviously, the state itself and the city does allocate funding based on need as well. So some of that might be made up. Just in terms of where the funding's coming from, in terms of state and city funding is providing it to those schools, but certainly the assumption is that those students that are getting the funding, whether it be IDEA or the Title I funding in those schools, that they would be sort of most high of mind for DOE in terms of how they might either fill the gap, with other resources. Doesn't need to be fiscal resources, but some resources, or it does decide that it would want to reallocate resources to those schools and students.
Sure. Got it. And then in terms of these potential constraints that we may see in other areas when it comes to the education space, what strategies is the comptroller's office implementing to prioritize spending in areas that matter? Considering the role of the comptroller is more so financial oversight opposed to the actual implementation, if I understand that correctly.
That's absolutely right. I think Tina can talk about maybe some of the where the recommendations recommend the city focus on. What I can say from our view is that we know that the city will have to fund certain obligations. For example, certain special education funding, or if charter growth continues to outpace their expectations, their charter schools. There's school nurses that's not fully funded at current levels. Obviously, I think the first thing we say is be transparent about what's anticipated and then fund those things. So that's one big, I think that's one thing we call out or try to call out. The other is, again, those oncoming issues that might be that the city has not yet maybe fully fleshed out or fully funded yet. So, for example, the class size mandate, we know that's oncoming. They have a 20% phase in each year to get to 100% for the next 3 years. We're raising questions to them about here's where utilization is higher than expected. What's the anticipated change? I know the schools themselves are not coming up with their own plans which is something we've sort of mentioned in the past is something that should be done. But as that plan comes out, probably towards the beginning of the next school year, we'll be looking at that again and seeing if the that comprehensive approach is actually going to be able to achieve the goals of the class size mandate.
Okay.
So one of the things that we were very cognizant of this year when we put together our audit plan was the need to provide recommendations that were helpful both to the city and the state. Our office, Controller DiNapoli, has always prioritized, efficiency and effectiveness and identifying cost savings, and we've been very successful. So we've identified over $27 billion over the last 5 years. So one of our focuses, both in the city and state, is looking for opportunities related to basically identifying cost savings, identifying efficiencies for the city and actually also for the state. And also looking for, opportunities in terms of revenue enhancement. And, this is an opportunity for where you can be helpful to us, which is, we often basically get our audit ideas from people like yourselves who understand the city, understand how the city works, see basically areas where the city can work more, effectively and efficiently. So it's an opportunity if you have any of those ideas and you have any thoughts to provide that information to Al, because, we're more than happy to look at it and we're more than happy to basically for any of your ideas to give you feedback in terms of whether we think we can or cannot do that. Because we are, the controller has always stressed that we listen to people like you who know the city really well when we put together our audit plan. So it is an opportunity for us to basically listen to you. If you have any suggestions, we're more than happy to listen to them.
And then, thank you, Tina, and thank you, Rahul. Regarding, like, focusing on that point, are there any issues you see specifically with the Department of Education in the near future?
I think good. Dude.
Yeah, Rahul, you go.
We put something out 3 years ago. Alan can provide it. We're clearly concerned at the State Controller's Office about learning loss generally. We know that it happened during the pandemic. We know that from the limited testing data we have, and quite frankly, one issue we have is that comparing tests right now, apples to apples, is difficult because some of the changes the state's made. That there has been learning loss, and that's something that needs to be tackled. And one thing we called for is that explaining both the inputs, so what the schools are doing, what DOE is doing writ large, to attack the learning loss issue, and then how it's measuring the progress is something we still are looking for better data on. There really is very limited information as to publicly anyway as to how the sort of how students have improved from learning loss. And in addition to that, we put out reports on absenteeism being an issue, the graduation rates, like all the regular stuff you would normally think of. We are seeing some slippage here, and then overall we are also seeing that enrollments have declined. Now, obviously, that's not necessarily DOE's fault alone. There's a shift in families leaving the city, particularly in the last 5 years, but we do see
Right.
coming back. We want to see that enrollment growth at the DOE level as those families come back. So that's another just a consideration.
Okay.
So in addition to the areas, so I would agree with the issues that Rahul raised. One of the other areas that we've been focusing a lot on is student privacy. Student data and how that data is protected. And also, the increased use of technology and, how basically that technology is actually used. So those are an additional 2 areas, but again, a big focus of this year will actually be on areas where we can identify, increased efficiencies for, again, the city and the state.
Okay, thank you. That actually reminded me of something quite interesting. When I first applied to be on the community board, we had to do like a group interview, and they were picking and choosing like the true leaders of the group. And we had like two rotational sessions. The first session, I listened and I took keynotes and I understood the flaws that people were saying when they spoke, how they were thinking about a project. And the second time came around, they said you have $100 million to allocate to these 7 areas or 9 areas within the city. And everyone was saying, yeah, it should all go to these 5 groups. And another group was saying, oh no, it should be distributed evenly. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, you guys, let's think of a comprehensive approach to this where we have separate tiers where every tier gets a certain amount allocated, and then we have the surplus in the budget. I wish it was that simple, but that response that you gave definitely reminded me of that particular situation. So I definitely thank you for giving us that color and clarity into this.
Go.
So you're a person after my own heart, because you sound like you like data and basically how you approach things. So you're a person after my own heart.
Thank you. I'm at UBS Financial Services right now, so I'm all about the numbers. I love sitting in the model, looking at accounting. That's my forte.
Great, because somebody gotta do it.
And on that note, I'm not sure, Alfred, you unmuted yourself if you wanted to say something, but that was the extent of the questions we had for you amazing folks. And I'd love to open up the floor to the chair and Noemi to ask additional questions if there was anything that she wanted to know from these amazing folks who took time out of their busy day upstate.
Thank you, Noemi.
Yes, I had a pending question. In regards to the and suggestions that you might need help with. One thought that came through my mind was the budget that was allocated for the teachers that were terminated during the pandemic because of the refusal of taking the vaccination. Do you know how that money was relocated into the system?
So the New York City Department of Education is sort of unique among all districts in the state because because of mayoral control, it's part of the city's budget. So that the money has to. DOE has a certain amount of flow that goes to them. It has to statutorily required, but then some of the overage goes back to the city as a what you may call a surplus. That money is able to be held aside, and then it's redirected towards the Department of Education, in the next year. So it just kind of rolls, if you will. I think the city has had some kind of payroll savings at Department of Education for a few years now. There are other types of spending that run over budget, though, right? So some of that is also balancing those other needs. For example, I mentioned the special education tends to run over budget. That would be reallocated to that first before going to the sort of general treasury of the city, and then where it's rolled towards next year.
Okay.
Just a quick follow-up question. Raul, do you happen to know the tail for that year rolling? Is it specifically like the 365 days, or does it have like an extended tail that goes beyond that 1 year mark?
No, it kind of goes into I guess you can say a centralized thing. So it would be shared as long as the money is not statutorily earmarked for education, right? It would be shared with any of the many agencies at the city, and then it's reallocated via the budget process, which is between council and the mayor.
Understood. Thank you.
Yep.
No, I don't really have any questions for y'all. More of my questions are for the city controller.
Yeah, can't help you there.
Which affects, us more, our public schools. Thank you for coming and talking to us, but we know that the state controllers focuses probably on the big 5. Which is outside of New York City, but we really appreciate you guys taking the time to come
Absolutely.
and talk to us.
And also one other thing, Tina, you mentioned that you really wanted to hear the opinion of the grassroots folks, the common folks like us who are on the ground. What are some ways that people in the city can be involved with the state comptroller's office, and how can we voice some opinions that we may have of cost saving or efficiencies in the city, or just generally stay up to date with what you got going on on the state level of things.
So if you have any suggestions, you can provide them to Al. And if you want to talk about that, my staff is always, depending upon what the area is, we can bring our experts in that area to have a conversation related to it. But Al is actually the best person and to do that. And if you're specifically interested in education, we're doing a lot of work at New York City Public Schools right now, and Al can make sure that you get copies of our current report. But we really are interested in your ideas and thoughts, anything that you think that might make a good audit. Please provide it to Al, and we will be happy to give you feedback and talk to you about what we think about it and whether we think that we can actually do that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tina.
And thank you, Hector and Tanisha. And please thank Paola and District Manager Smith for all your work. I do have your email. I will put you on our mailing list so that you get our mail with specific work related to education audits and whatever else you'd want to be informed on. And let's keep open lines of communication going forward. And I think this was a great meeting.
Thank you so much, because we're interested. So we will now give you your time back.
Yes, as promised,
Thank you,
Alfred.
Raul, Tina, and Alfred.
Thank you, Tina.
so
Thank you, Alfred. Thank you all.
Thank you
Take
so
care.
much. Have a good night.
Yeah,
Likewise, you as
too.
well.
Have a nice night.
Likewise, Tina.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
So that was great. Now, next month, hopefully we can get the city controller
Yes.
to come, because I have a lot of questions about the MWBE contracts.
Yes.
PEP approved a buying purchase contracts from 25,000 to 50,000.
Right.
So how it works is you don't have to be a contractor to the DOE to do after-school programs. If you're coming in and you're doing after-school programs, you can write up your invoice. It was for $25,000. And then in 2023, the PEP passed an upgrade to $50,000.
Oh, wow.
But what is happening is that our Black educators, our brown educators, our MWBEs are not getting paid because there's some little war going on with the controller's office and the DOE. So the DOE is blaming it on the controllers and the controller is blaming it on DOE. So basically, before you could just write an invoice and to DOE or something, and they would put it in. Now the city controller has added an extra layer where it has to be registered. Like the Department of Education has to register the invoice. And for some reason, they're not doing it. But the excuse that the controller used is the mayor. And that's not what we're going to do.
Right.
We're not going to base one Black man's attitude on all our MWBEs.
Right.
And this is what usually happens. A black person, just like in every other community, we have some people that don't do the right thing.
There's some bad actors.
But what happens is it's a label on the whole Black community.
Right.
And they'll hold this one person up and say, well, this is the reason why we don't trust Black people.
Right.
So that's kind of what's happening right now. But we did have a meeting with him. Black Influencers United and Parents Supporting Parents had a meeting with Brad Lander the other day. So we're hoping to work on it. But if we can get them here next month, I want to see, because now we're talking about putting both of them in the same room, the DOE and the controller. But, I want them to come and explain that to us, because a lot of people who are doing after-school programs for our children are not getting paid. And this is something that went into effect in 2023.
Wow.
So for a while it worked, and then the controller did something, and now they cannot,
It's like a code.
invoice up, yeah.
Right. Okay. I mean, we're gonna have two people from this comptroller's office. Lord willing, it's gonna be Evelyn Oyalo and then Laura Chan, who is the expert for the Board of Education regarding the comptroller's office. I think she's their designated liaison.
That should be very interesting, because
So-
when we was on a call with them, DOE was on the call before we got to Brad and we got to his, his people.
Right.
And DOE was on a call and they would not answer any of our questions. So we didn't even wonder why they was there.
Yeah, I'm surprised because even the state, they were very transparent with their responses, extremely
And
transparent.
that's the issue,
Yeah,
you know, and the fact that they came here before the city is kind of
it
crazy.
is very bizarre. Like, if anything, they were more willing to
This is what I'm
participate.
saying.
They followed up
Yeah.
with me. The comptroller's office in the state, on the city level was more hectic to get it. I had to, or arrange the schedule,
Yeah.
spread a whole month in advance or 2 months in advance.
Yeah. So, you know, I think that's something that we need to work on because we're already in March and just elected officials, period. Haven't really seen them at our youth and education meetings. And, you know, they have a very big responsibility, whether it's city or state, to come here and tell us, how they're going to, fund, you know, our fiscal year 2026, especially with everything that's going on with the foundation aid formula.
Is there anybody in particular that we want to reach out to? I'm more
We
than
want to
happy
reach out to Carmen's office. We want to reach out to our councilwoman. We want to reach out to Manny's office. We definitely want to reach out to our congressman's office. Yeah. Because, he's part of he's our federal representative.
Right,
And we have a lot of things going on right now,
the
like,
poorest district in the country.
yeah, like, in Noemi, like when we talk about our students and our students not being able to go to school because they don't have really any protections against this ICE,
Right,
terrorizing our community. And we really don't have no answers for them. If they have a warrant, there's nothing anybody can do. And,
Right.
you know, that's something that we need to talk to our, federal official about. And,
Yes, that's
with
very-
this young man who was just kidnapped by ICE,
well, I didn't know
a young man from Colombia, was taken out his house, has a green card, just graduated from Columbia, has a wife. ICE kidnapped him.
Wow.
And they have him in Louisiana right now at the federal direction. And Rashid, Congressman Rashid Tlaib, she wrote a letter for the Democrats, the progressive, to sign on to, and only 10 of them signed on to
Only
it.
10?
And our congressman wasn't one of them.
Wow. Yeah, it was quite interesting because he did, when the whole thing happened during the election, he did a mini series about the rights, but at no point was anything geared towards like students and young adults. It was more so like older individual people actually took that journey opposed to the people who were here as a companion to the people who took the journey.
Well, in the
Over here.
article that I read, he stated that he's putting his trust in the Trump administration to do the right thing. And that's just really problematic for me because this man had a green card. This man here legally in an apartment, a Columbia apartment with his 8-month pregnant wife.
Wow.
And, once upon a time, SBI had a green card.
Yeah.
And how would he have felt if they had pulled him out of his house and had him in Louisiana right now trying to deport him? So I think it's really important because we have a lot of children in our community that are immigrants or migrants or asylum seekers, and it's his duty and this man is one of his constituents.
He is, he's a representative.
This man is his constituent. So I think it's really important to have these conversations and ask the community board to hold our elected officials accountable. And I'm
Absolutely.
here for it. So we're gonna move on. Yeah, I'm gonna send out the article. So we're gonna move on to old business, new business announcements before we adjourn. So old business, yes. A couple of months ago, we had Chief come here, Coalition for Education Equitable Funds, come do a presentation for us, and we was waiting until after, the budget proposal was put out from our governor, Kathy Hochul. And so now that has been done, and we have gotten a look at some of the one house budgets in the assembly and the state, we now have a resolution. And I feel like we need to read it so that we can see if there's any changes that we want to put into it. Any friendly amendments, we should look at that now so we can give notes to our chair. And that since we don't have quorum here, we'll have to move it to the executive committee if we wanted to come to the floor for a vote at our general meeting. And I really don't want to wait till next month.
Yeah.
This resolution is very important. So let's take a few minutes to look it over. And then we can discuss. Already on top, it's gonna, I have to change this to community board 12. Okay, great. Do we have any changes besides, the community board? Where it needs to be, or youth and education community?
Question, on the 4.4 with the ELLS, when you say, disabilities, is that all encompassing mental, physical, and emotional? Okay, got it. And then another point for the students experiencing homelessness, has that always been a part of the Board of Education or?
No, that's the issue.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
We're asking, the way that the foundation age formula is set up, there's no weight for homelessness. for children that don't have a home.
Okay,
There's no wait for children who are in foster care. And you would think that these children would need extra support and that there would be money in the foundation aid for that, but there's not. So that's what we're asking for. We're asking for extra weights to be added for children with disabilities. We want that upped because it's not enough money in the way for children with disabilities, whatever disability they have, it's just not enough money. We want an update to the regional cost index.
yes, sir. I've seen this right here. How is it, like that number, the 3215, that's what it's at right now statewide?
Yes. That's for a family of four. And if you ask me, it's high, because I know a lot of families that income is below 30,000 and 20,000, so. But that's the official state record of what a family of four lives on.
Right,
And so then we have a wait for students in temporary housing and students in foster care who have unique educational needs that are currently not considered in the formula. As a former foster care child, I can tell you that foster children, adopted children, children who have been impacted by the child welfare system need extra support in school.
right,
And a lot of times when they don't get the extra support, those are the children that they deem bad. Those are the children that they deem with behavioral problems. But the children are crying out because they're not getting the nurturing and support that they need,
Right.
that all children need. So that's very important to us.
okay,
And to consider additional ways of measuring poverty, such as using higher weights for school districts that have high percentages of students living in poverty, which is our district, and adding a cost of living adjustment or a higher poverty threshold for certain communities. And that goes to the point we just said about, even that for the family of four is kind of high.
right,
In our community, $32,150. Like, we have a lot of people in our community that live on a fixed income, that have children that are on SSI or FSD, and they don't come nowhere near that. Their gross income for a year is 11,000, 12,000. So, and we have to also fight for that because they're trying to cut that, and that will be very hard on our families. So we'll cut and SNAP benefits. This will all affect our children and how they do in school. Because if you don't have a house and you don't have food, you can't really concentrate on learning.
right. Those are things that are not measured, can't measure that.
Yeah, so Naomi, do you have anything? So, but instead, I wish we could approve it, but we can't
Is there
because
any
we
way
don't
we
have.
could call up Crystal or Daryl?
I called Crystal. She said she was about to get on, but still they're not here and they don't have, they're supposed to be, yes, they're supposed to be in person. So, but what we can do is that we can take it to the executive committee and we can vote on it there to bring it to the floor. So what do y'all
Okay.
think about that?
Argue.
I agree. And I'm very grateful to our coalitions and all of our, education advocates. I attended the rally this morning, for the New York State community, had a New York City Council, Education Committee had, a hearing today that is still going on.
Wow.
The children are testifying now on the education budget for fiscal year 2026.
Okay.
So, this is really important and we thank.
Just quick question, Tisha. When you say bring it to the executive committee and then vote there, how would that look? I'm not too familiar with that process.
Oh, okay, so when we don't have quorum, we always have our executive committee, and our executive committee is all the chairs. And the vice chair,
Yes.
second chair, it's all the executives. So we talk about everything that's been happened in all the meetings, and we're able to, if we weren't able to get a vote because we don't have quorum, in our committee meetings, we can then bring our resolution to our executive committee and take a vote there. And if it's approved there, then it can come to our general.
Okay, and then at the executive committee, who votes on it? It's not our committee, correct?
No, it's
It's-
it's the executives.
So,
So the
okay,
vice chair, Kathy,
Also, it's all the-
Alexis, it's all of us.
okay,
Domingo, me, the chairs of the committees, the vice chairs
and
of
it'll
the
have to be a
committee,
majority of
the
everyone in attendance.
secretary, yes,
Okay, makes sense.
yeah,
And that goes for every committee or just,
every committee.
okay, so if, let's say the traffic committee wanted to pass a resolution, but they didn't have enough people, and
They bring it to the executive
they
committee.
raise the, okay, and then can the chair of the particular committee bringing it to the executive committee vote on it as well?
Yes,
Okay,
and then what happens is, the executive committee can either vote to bring it to the general meeting or not vote, and then it
Got
goes
it.
back to committee. It would come back to our committee, and then if we had quorum, we would vote on it, and then bring it back to the executive committee and say, we
Wonderful.
voted in favor of this, and then it would definitely go to the floor. But this is something that's very important, and it is already March.
yeah,
And I don't think that we can't wait till April, because April is when the state budget is decided.
right,
And I think that, we're going to be like one of the first community boards that's even going to bring a resolution to have it passed. And then, hopefully if it passes, then, I would ask our administrators to send it out to all of the community boards and encourage them to pass it too.
oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Right, right. Because when we create resolutions, the DOE, I think they have to answer us in like 30 days. So that's part of the power that we have on the community board. Okay, so are we good all here? And this was sent out to all committee members. So do we have any new business? Do we know what we're doing next month? Noemi?
I think it was like a panel or something. Or was it the health?
That's May and June.
Also, I think it's, what's her name, Darling? I think she's doing the mental health panel or something like that, was it?
Mental health? Oh, well, I can help her with that if we want, we know, do y'all know about Be Heard and this new number 988 that you're supposed to call if you're having someone who's having a mental issue instead of the cops?
980.
988, it's called Be Heard, but here's the situation. I myself have been present at church with, my people, and they needed to call for their daughter. When I tell you 10 police officers showed up.
The
And-
988 number?
And there was, when we asked for a mental health professional, what we were told? There aren't none. They don't have enough to go around. So we could definitely ask the coalition that I know to come here and give us a presentation. They actually came and gave the Housing and Human Services. I had them come on there for a presentation. So we can definitely ask Derwin if that's something that he would be interested in. They're amazing. And they're doing a lot of work around getting more funding and better services for people who are having mental health issues.
Okay.
Hold on, let me get their name for y'all. The young lady name is Jordan Rosenthal. She's the director of Advocacy Community Access. And the name of the coalition is. Hold on, give me 1 second, because, these acronyms. Look, I got all of these. Here we go. CCIT NYC. It is Correct Crisis Interventions Today. I will definitely reach out to her and ask her if she wants to come present for us. But first, we can ask Darwin if it's okay with him, but we definitely have resources to come present for us and talk to us about some of the things that are going on in mental health. And as we know, mental health is a big thing for our students.
Yes.
Especially after COVID, like before COVID, but it just shined a light on the extra support, of mental health experts that we don't have in our schools.
Right.
So definitely we'll hit her up. Right?
New business, anything else?
Any other new business? And also we have a couple of people in the audience, so I want to give them a chance. Okay. Jessica, hi, I spoke with Domingo earlier and he said there would be time for me to do a small video presentation and speak with committee about.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, Jessica, yes, it would be possible. I'm sorry. Let me promote you. And you can definitely do your presentation. Okay, Crystal's here. Hi, Crystal. You text me so that I can promote you. Crystal is here, and we would also like to hear if she has anything to say about the resolution. Our community board member, she couldn't be here. Unfortunately, she has COVID. Jessica, I'm promoting you now. Okay, Jessica declined to be promoted. Okay,
Maybe she wants to wait.
do you want to do something? Oh, she raised her hand. Maybe she hit the wrong button. Yeah, that's easy to do.
Hi, yeah, I thank you so much. I did hit the wrong button. I could hear you. You couldn't hear me.
It's okay. Do you
um,
need the co-host privileges for your presentation?
oh, say that again, please.
You need co-host privileges for your presentation?
Yeah, I just want to, I want to show you guys a little video. Does that mean I have to be co-host?
Yes, hold on, give me a second.
Okay.
There you go. And then after Crystal, we'll like to hear from you about the resolution. Go ahead, Jessica.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Just before I show a couple of little videos, I was on this meeting in February, I guess it was, and I did do a brief presentation. I don't think I showed any videos, but the reason I'm really trying to connect with you all is that I've been producing for the past 20 years in Marcus Garvey and in Morningside Park, and a little bit in the past couple of years in Jackie Robinson Park, NYC Kids Fest. And we've been working with elementary school groups in those other two community districts, but we have not yet connected, or actually, to be quite frank, haven't, really put the energy yet in reaching out to schools and the community in CB 12 to really involve school groups, especially elementary school kids it can be middle school kids. But basically what we're looking to do, there's two events. One is on Father's Day on June 15th in Jackie Robinson Park. And what we want to do is send a hip hop teaching artist, and we have some really incredible teaching artists who have taught before at Harlem School of the Arts. They're Broadway performers, and they're pretty seasoned in teaching elementary school and middle school kids. And, they do a 10-week workshop, and then the kids get to go and perform at Jackie Robinson. They can also perform at Marcus Garvey and in Morningside, but doesn't have to be. And then the other thing, so that's happening for sure on June 15th. And then the other thing is Earth Day, which is on April 26th. And that last year we produced an Earth Day event right behind the Dominican Cultural Center. And we're looking to do that again this year, and that will be confirmed next week. And so we are also, I can circle back to you all. If that does get confirmed, we really want to find ways to involve more kids on the Earth Day event. So I want to show you now, let me, I guess, share screen, some of the events that we've done in the past, just so you get a better idea of what we're doing and who we are. So,
You're sure, right?
yeah, I just share, I'm always get this mixed up.
Mhm.
Got to go to my desktop one, I guess. Oh. Can you see anything?
Yes, we can see a whole bunch of beautiful kids.
Okay, so let me make that big. So let me just tell you before I start the video, this group actually was from an organization called Our Children, and it's an amazing organization that reunites formerly incarcerated women with their kids, and they have a great after-school program. And so one of our teaching artists, Prince, this was actually in 2021. You can tell with the masks. Went there for 10 weeks and they did this incredible performance. But this is just one of the rehearsals. So I want to show you this a little bit. Let's see.
Did not give up when it was difficult.
How cute. That exercise in. Oh my God, that's a beautiful. I love that.
Okay, do I have time to show a couple more?
Mhm.
Just sure, okay. Let's see. I wanted to find the one for another Jackie Robinson for you. Give me a sec.
So while you're finding them, Jessica, so you're saying that y'all do it at all of the parks?
Yeah, we do it at all of the parks, and yeah, and I'm mentioning Jackie Robinson because that's in your district. So
Do anything in High Bridge?
say it again, please.
Do you do anything at High Bridge Park?
No, we don't have, it's a whole like I'm trying to find it's a whole whatchamacallit, like procedure, getting the park permit and all of that kind of stuff. So we actually have just been focused on those 3 parks. That's not to say that we couldn't, but it's we apply for the permit like a year in advance. We have the band shell there, and we kind of have the whole structure there going. This is okay. I can't find the video right now, but I'll show you. This is from years ago in Morningside.
And it's open to all children? Like, is there
All children,
application?
it's free to the public. There's face painting, there's balloon animals, there's like this year in Marcus Garvey, I'll just say this, we have Beyonce's former musical director and bass player. Her name is sorry, I'll tell you after. So we always have work with the National National Double Dutch League.
Mhm. Hello?
She's known as the goddess of arts, culture, and wisdom. She's described as the goddess that sits on the lotus flower with lotus eyes.
Hey, Jessica?
We can't see
Yeah.
Jessica.
Yeah, we can't see.
Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, you trying to talk, are you trying to say something?
No, we was hearing something, but we wasn't seeing it.
Oh, you're not seeing it. Oh, no. Okay.
Share your screen.
I forgot to press share. Okay, sorry. I'm one of those technically challenged people over here, as you can tell. Okay, here we go. I'm going back in. Sorry about that. Okay.
There we go. Now we
Okay,
can
you
see.
can see now. Okay.
Yes.
I really want to, I'm going to take a pause here and I want to show you, I really want to just take a moment to find the video that was in Jackie Robinson a few years ago. And we had an artist called Fuchs. I don't know if any of you know him. He's like since skyrocketed in the children's like world of music. And he like was just up for a Grammy and we kind of got super lucky and got him right before he really got what better known. So hold on, I really want to find that for you guys. Just trying to find the, who says the videos? Organized videos. Okay, here we go. All right. Fuchs. Here we go. Can you see?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
we can see.
All right. Now I just need to figure out how to start it. Okay.
And this was in Marcus Garvey Park, you said,
No,
correct?
this was in not that, most of this was shot in Jackie Robinson. You can see it.
Some of the lineup included Grammy-nominated artist Al Paul and a hip-hop work class. Organizers with the event say they want kids to have fun while learning.
Weather's great. This is why we use the parks for stuff like this. They got the playground, the cookouts and stuff. So it's beautiful that a whole family can come out and enjoy something together. So I'm really happy to be a part of that.
The festival takes place every year on the third weekend in June.
Okay, I have a lot of videos throughout like the past many years, but I'm excited to, be able to connect with you guys because, yeah, we really, want to expand this up in your district. And we're looking really to involve more children and kind of tap into the elementary schools here, or doesn't it even have to be with schools themselves if that's challenging? Because sometimes I know that can get really bureaucratic. It could be with organizations that are, offer after-school programming outside of the school itself. It could be with immigrant populations. It could be with all kinds of kids who might not really have access to just having fun, learning hip hop, and then getting the opportunity to perform and bring their families out. And also performing alongside the professional performers.
Got it. And then, apologies if I missed this. Did you have a particular park in mind or area in mind?
Did I have a particular, arc? Is that what you said?
Yeah, could you say this usually takes place in a park or like a public
Yeah,
space?
it's going to take place in Jackie Robinson on Father's Day, June 15th. So ideally what we're looking to do is a 10-week workshop. We have a little, we're looking for an organization that would be able to pay for the teacher. And that's something like $1,000 for 10 classes. That money all just goes straight to that teacher. And if that's too much, we would contribute $500 to that.
And the 10 weeks, is it leading up to the 15th or?
Yes, it's all leading up. It would be on a mutually agreed upon day. It could be if it was inside a school, it would be, inside the classroom once a week, or else it could be after school. Like that's one that you saw with our children, like those really young kids. That was an after school program. So that took place like from 4 to 5. And yeah.
Got it. No, yeah. Jessica, is it possible to send us an email? I know we already have a thread going with myself and Domingo, but can you send us, do you have any presentation or anything, or like a one pager, discussing? So that way he and our vice chair, Tanisha, could reach out to our members in the community to see who will be able to assist with this event on Father's Day.
Yeah, that would be great. And Tanisha, would it be possible? Could you put your email in the chat? Because I have Hector and Domingo's.
I did. Look in the
Oh, you did
chat.
it? Look at you. Okay. Thank you so much. And then
Yo.
I do want to just mention quickly, I'm going to circle back to you in that chain in the email thread also. If we do
Okay,
get the Earth Day gig, which will be on April 26th, you know, and if it's if they assign us to, you know, CB12, we would also really want to try to involve more kids there. It's going to be
right,
a lot of fun. But the main
right.
thing is Father's Day.
No, absolutely. Another reason why we want to have like that material on file, so that way when we do have our newsletter, we could share the event.
Mhm.
So that way we could have more local participants from the community attend.
Fantastic. All
And
right.
even share it out to other community board, other community-based organizations so that they can share it on their listservs too. Let's try to get you a lot of kids.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. We really, really would love that. So thank you so much.
One thing, what's the ages?
So the ages is really skews young, like 3 to like 12, I would say. You know, I mean, even like 12 is on the up, you know, it's like on the upper end there. Not necessarily of the performers. Like, for example, we always have Harlem School of the Arts kids do a dance performance every year, and those kids are high school kids. But so we would be very happy to send the hip hop teacher to a high school. We just really we're just trying to find inroads to the community, to engage the community,
Okay.
but
Okay.
basically elementary.
What about children with IEPs or our children who learn differently? Are they also?
Absolutely. Yes,
It is?
yes, yes. I mean, really, that would mean just finding, like, there is one teacher we have that's great, that he's, you know, really versed and has actually worked with that population. So that's something that we can accommodate. It always comes down to scheduling stuff, like people's schedules, but, you know, absolutely.
Okay, great, because I would be interested in bringing my autistic grandson there. He loves
Oh.
music, he loves to jump and run around.
Oh, fantastic. That is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, they need outlets like that. So really appreciate you. Crystal, do you have any questions?
I know that they should also be included, since the age gap, churches as well. I mean, that's considered an organization as well, but definitely get it out to the blast clergy. They'll be happy to hear this as well. And I want to know if there's any extra incentives for long term. You know, maybe this can be a long term thing, working with school, and even
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I
you
mean,
can do something with SYEP, because people have parents that are affected by this, I think.
yeah, I mean, our vision has always really been to have things more long-term. It's just, you know, the resources and the time, and really it's one day at a time kind of thing, but, you know, absolutely open to those kind of discussions.
Would it also be possible to loop something in with, I know they always promote the child care when people owe back money on their funding. So is there something where we can promote also in the courthouse as well? Because when people are getting back money to pay their child support, if they see something like this as well, because they might also have a background as well, they could benefit from these things.
Listen, I mean, main thing is are you talking about with the kids of the parent, like, can you expand on that a little bit? Absolutely. I mean, we just really want to serve kids who just don't have these opportunities. And it's really about getting the message out, because it is all free for the families and free for the kids, and they have so much fun. I mean, it's a blast for the kids. So anything that we can broaden the network with, bringing kids on board and getting the teachers there, because we basically are funded through the Department of Cultural Affairs. All of our funding, which is, not so much or anything, but comes to the Department of Cultural Affairs and a couple of other arts or, city or state arts organizations. And, what we're trying to do is expand this teaching artist program so, that we can bring on board more kids. So
what is it that you would need to see so that we can promote it, so that it does stay around long term? How are you tracking these things?
What do you mean by tracking these things?
Like the outcome, how many people that are coming?
Yeah, I mean,
so that we can really push and say that,
Gotcha.
okay, last year we had so-and-so amount of people, this year we're for this amount, and
But-
now next year, because it's proven to work.
Right, so for example, like what we've done in the past is like, what we do as in our final reports, we either have a survey that is handed out to the, to audience members where it's a very simple, like multiple choice kind of, not multiple choice, but like 3-question kind of a thing. Then we, like, for example, when we did that in Marcus Garvey last year, they had a grant from the Mellon Foundation. And as part of that, we had that survey at the end, and, people were happy to fill that out, and that seemed to be a really great way of tracking it. We have that, we still have that whole survey. This year, we were planning to do like a gratitude wall, at the end of the festival, just where people can sign it, put their comments on it. And also probably we'll do a survey again. And then, like that's always the thing, right? About tracking the numbers of public events. It's, challenging sometimes.
Thank you so much. And we definitely always love feedback. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. So we'll be talking to you soon. I appreciate what you said, Crystal, because I'm gonna print out some flyers too and put it in the vestibule at my church. That's gonna want to be.
I'm gonna send you everything in the email.
Great, that's amazing. And we love Father Day events as well, because we love our fathers, and fathers are just as important as mothers.
Amen.
They are to be celebrated. So Crystal, did you read over the resolution? Is there anything that you want to say about it? The reso that we're trying to take to the.
You're
You're
muted.
muted. You're frozen. Give her a couple of minutes. But Noemi, do you want to say a little bit about, so new business, you want to say a little bit about, oh, Crystal, you're back.
No, it was just, I think something with the English language learners. I think that's the 4th one. Let me see.
Uh-huh.
Give me 1 second. Let me count.
It's the 4th one.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no. No, you mentioned it earlier. Never mind.
Yeah. English language learners include all English language learners, whether it's Spanish, French, Wolof.
It's better to be open and broad than to make it so specific and narrow people out. So it's fine.
Yeah, yes, because that's why we put it like that, English language learners. So we know any child that English is a second language, deserves more support. Okay. New business, Naomi, do you want to say a couple of things about what we're going to be doing in May and June?
So in May and June, we're gonna be focusing on mental health awareness, right? And then in the month of June, we're gonna be focusing on nutrition and health, right? So we are welcoming everybody that has resources to come. Well, we're trying to plan an actual event to service the students. So most likely it will be happening at the George Washington campus. It's here, it's a great location for everybody to get to. It's in the center of our district and accessible. So now it's just the logistics of getting the approval of using the space and having the adequate panels and resources for the students to actually be impacted by this. So just wanted to bring that notice. And let's see, for some more new business, we have a Minecraft tournament that's happening April 26th.
Yeah.
At the George Washington campus. This will be our 2nd year hosting it.
Yeah.
And last year we had a group of all-girl team make it to 2nd place for the Manhattan Borough. So this year we're looking forward to making it 1st place and bringing the cup home. So another new business to bring to the table, March 22nd from 9 to 12. There's a hands-on CPR training that's going to be happening at PS4. They will be providing also take-home kits after the training, and this is open to all public school parents to come and take this training. So everybody's more than welcome. You can find the flyer at the CEC D6 Instagram page where you can find more information, and also make sure that you register if you're interested. And it's Civic Week. So if you haven't heard it, now you did. Make sure that you spread the information on who's our public elected officials, how students can be civically engaged, just bringing awareness of their voice and making sure that they matter. And just to finalize, Happy Women's History Month. That's all I got, Chair.
Okay, well, that's amazing. So, here at the Youth and Education Committee in District 6, well, Community Board 12, Community Board 12, sorry.
We've been all over the place.
Yes, we really are about our business of education. Shout out to our chair, Domingo. We will see him next time, hopefully. And I think that we should adjourn.
Yeah. Second that. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second it first? Okay.
First, second.
We're going to adjourn. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye, Crystal. Talk to you offline.
Okay, good night.